My daughter humiliated me in front of her friends, saying I was old and stupid, so I canceled the college that I paid for her. Before we begin, drop a comment below telling me where in the world you are listening, and make sure to subscribe for more life-changing journeys. The envelope from Princeton University felt heavy in my hands. I traced my fingers over the embossed logo before handing it to Olivia. After 19 years of sacrifice, sleepless nights, and second jobs, my daughter's future was sealed inside. I got in! Olivia's scream pierced the kitchen as she danced around. Mom, I got in! Princeton, can you believe it? I couldn't stop the tears. Your father would have been so proud, I whispered, remembering Robert and how we'd dreamed of starting a family before his car accident 20 years ago. Olivia was already texting everyone she knew. We have to celebrate, like a real party. She looked up, her eyes calculating rather than joyful. The Henderson twins got into Yale, and their parents rented out Bellini's. Sweetheart, that's a bit out of our price range. I started, mentally reviewing our savings account. Mom, it's Princeton. Her voice took on that edge I'd learned to dread. Do you want me to look pathetic compared to everyone else? It's bad enough I have to say I'm adopted when people ask why my mom is practically a senior citizen. The barb stung, but I pushed it aside like I always did. Of course not, honey. We'll figure something out. 3 weeks later, our modest house was transformed into what Olivia deemed an acceptable celebration venue. I dipped into my emergency fund for catering, decorations, and even hired student bartenders. I stood in the kitchen, arranging hors d'oeuvres, when Olivia burst in with 3 friends from Lakeside Prep. Mom, where are the little shrimp things? She demanded, barely looking at me. Coming right up, I smiled at her friends. Congratulations to all of you on your acceptances. Mrs. Sullivan, your home is lovely, said Emma, the only one who bothered to meet my eyes. Oh God, Mom, don't start with the small talk. Olivia rolled her eyes. Just bring the food out when it's ready. After they left, I leaned against the counter, willing away the hurt. This was Olivia's night. The party was in full swing when I ventured upstairs for more napkins. As I passed the guest bedroom, I heard Olivia's laugh, followed by, "Can you imagine having to explain her to my college friends?" I froze, hand halfway to the doorknob. At least your real mom was probably young and cool. I recognized Brooke Henderson's voice. Like, was she a teen mom or something? I tell everyone my parents were brilliant grad students who died in an accident, Olivia said casually. It's less embarrassing than admitting I was adopted by a desperate old woman who couldn't have kids of her own. The ice in my veins spread to my fingertips. But she's paying for Princeton, right? Another voice asked. That's pretty generous. She's mortgaging the house, Olivia snorted, as if I'd let her off the hook after all the time she embarrassed me. Do you know last parent-teacher night she asked Mr. Phillips what existentialism meant? In front of everyone. It's not my fault she's too stupid to understand half the books I read. Laughter rippled through the room. She's like having a housekeeper who thinks she's your mom, Olivia continued, always hovering, asking about my day like she could possibly understand what my life is like. God, I can't wait to get to Princeton and finally drop the act. What act? Emma asked quietly. The Grateful Daughter Act. Olivia's voice dripped with contempt. Do you know how exhausting it is pretending to care about her feelings? Oh, Mom, thank you so much for working double shifts so I could go to ballet. She mimicked me cruelly, as if she didn't get exactly what she wanted someone to make her pathetic life seem meaningful. A glass shattered downstairs, followed by cheers. I should move, should confront her, should do something other than stand here, letting each word cut deeper. But you'll still visit her, right? Emma pressed. Only until I get my inheritance, Olivia laughed. The old lady's not going to live forever. And when she kicks it, this house is mine. Then I'll finally be free. I backed away silently, retreating to my bedroom. I caught my reflection in the mirror, gray-streaked hair, lines around my eyes, the dress I'd splurged on for tonight. For the first time, I saw myself through Olivia's eyes. Old, unsophisticated, embarrassing. The sounds of celebration continued downstairs, but inside me, something vital had cracked the foundation I'd built my entire adult life upon. The daughter I thought I knew, the love I thought we shared, the sacrifices I thought had meaning. It was all a lie, and I had no idea what to do next. The morning after the party, I cleaned up the aftermath while Olivia slept upstairs. Every champagne flute I washed, every crumpled napkin I collected felt like evidence of my own naivety. "Mom, is there coffee?" Olivia shuffled in around noon, hair tangled, eyes puffy from too little sleep. I poured her a cup without speaking. "Great party, right?" She scrolled through her phone. "Brooke's mom asked where we catered from." I told her it was the new place downtown, not that cheap deli you actually used. The casual lie struck me differently now. How many others had there been? "Olivia," I said quietly, "we need to talk." "Can't. Meeting Emma for brunch in an hour." She glanced up, finally noticing my expression. "What's wrong with you? You look weird." "I overheard your conversation with your friends last night, in the guest room." The change was instantaneous. Her face shifted from annoyance to calculation in a heartbeat. "What conversation?" she asked carefully. "The one where you called me old and stupid, where you said I was like a housekeeper, where you talked about waiting for me to die so you could get your inheritance." Olivia's laugh was too bright, too rehearsed. "Mom, we were just joking around. You know how girls are, we say crazy things just to sound cool. Do you tell people your real parents were brilliant grad students who died?" Her smile faltered. "I can't believe you're eavesdropping on me at my own celebration party." "Answer the question, Olivia. What does it matter?" She slammed her coffee cup down. "You know how people look at me when they realize I'm adopted, all that fake sympathy and those questions about my real family. It's easier to make something up, something that doesn't include me." "You're being ridiculous." She grabbed her phone. "I don't have time for this. I need to get ready." As she turned to leave, I said, "We need to discuss Princeton." "What's there to discuss? We already decided I'm going." "No, you decided. And I agreed to mortgage the house to make it happen. But now..." Something dangerous flashed in her eyes. "But now what? You're threatening to not pay for college because your feelings are hurt? Grow up." "Mom!" I flinched as if she'd struck me. In 19 years, I'd never heard such naked contempt in her voice. "This isn't about hurt feelings," I said. "This is about realizing I don't know who you are. I'm the same person I've always been." She crossed her arms. "You're just finally paying attention." That admission hung between us, damning in its honesty. "What happened to you?" I whispered. "Nothing happened to me," she spat. "Maybe this is who I've always been, and you were too desperate for someone to love you to notice." The cruelty was so calculated, so precise, I knew instantly she'd thought these words before. "Go to your brunch," I said, my voice eerily calm. "We'll continue this conversation when you get back." "There's nothing to continue." She grabbed her purse. "Just get over it and go back to planning how you'll redecorate my room when I leave for Princeton." After she slammed the door, I sank into a kitchen chair. In the quiet of our home, I tried to reconcile the daughter I thought I knew with the stranger who'd just walked out. I pulled out my phone and called the one person who might help me make sense of this. "Susan, it's Margaret. I need to talk to you about Olivia." My oldest friend hesitated before answering. "I've been waiting for this call for years, Maggie. Remember when Olivia was 16 and she told you I couldn't make your birthday dinner because I was sick?" Susan's voice crackled through the phone. "Yes," I replied, a knot forming in my stomach. "I wasn't sick. She called me that morning and said you wanted to keep it just family because you were feeling sensitive about turning 55. My grip tightened on the phone. "But I specifically asked her to invite you." "That's not all," Susan continued. "Remember when you couldn't attend my sister's funeral because Olivia had that panic attack before her theater performance? Of course, I felt terrible leaving you alone that day. Maggie, I saw her backstage 15 minutes after you called to cancel. She was laughing with her castmates like nothing had happened. The room seemed to tilt. That's not possible. She was hyperventilating. I'm sorry, but it's true. I have more examples if you need them." I didn't need more, but I listened anyway as Susan detailed years of manipulation. Olivia sabotaging my friendship with Anne from book club. Olivia telling my date Richard that I'd described him as financially unstable. Olivia losing birthday gifts from friends and later selling them online. "Why didn't you tell me?" I finally asked. Susan sighed. "I tried, subtly, many times, but you always had an explanation, a justification. After a while, it seemed kinder to let you believe what you needed to believe." After hanging up, I sat motionless at the kitchen table. Then, with sudden determination, I climbed the stairs to Olivia's room. I'd never invaded her privacy before. Now, I opened drawers, checked under the mattress, rifled through her desk. In the back of her closet, I found a shoebox filled with jewelry, camera ready to capture the moment. At my side, Tyler, now a culinary school graduate and junior chef at one of the city's upscale restaurants, made final adjustments to the boutonnierie he'd insisted on creating for Olivia's graduation gown. Literature department's most outstanding senior award winner deserves proper floral recognition, he declared, stepping back to admire his handiwork. The announcement of Olivia's departmental honor had come as no surprise to those who'd witnessed her transformation from calculating pre-law student to passionate literary scholar. Her thesis on economic power dynamics in 19th-century women's literature had already been accepted for publication in a respected academic journal. "There's Professor Winters," Olivia noted, waving to the department chair who'd become her academic mentor. "He wants me to meet the visiting professor from Columbia before the ceremony starts." As she made her way through the crowd, I marveled at the natural ease with which she now navigated academic spaces, not as performance or strategy, but as genuine engagement. "Penny for your thoughts," Daniel said, slipping his arm around my waist. "Just reflecting on how far we've come," I replied. All of us. My own journey had unfolded alongside Olivia's. The essay collection that had brought unexpected recognition 3 years ago had led to a teaching position at the community college, then a book contract for a work exploring late-life reinvention. At 62, I'd found my voice as both writer and educator roles I'd never imagined in my former life. Daniel and I had married in a small ceremony last year, blending our lives with the comfortable familiarity of people who'd found partnership in middle age. The ring on my finger still occasionally surprised me, a symbol of a chapter I'd thought permanently closed after Robert's accident. "Mrs. Matthews?" I turned to find Brooke Henderson approaching, her expression uncharacteristically hesitant. We hadn't spoken since the literary benefit 3 years earlier. "Ms. Henderson," I acknowledged with polite surprise. "Are you here for the graduation?" "My cousin is receiving her master's," she explained. "I saw you across the room and, well, I wanted to say hello." An awkward silence fell between us, years of unspoken history hanging in the air. "How is Princeton?" Daniel asked diplomatically. "I actually transferred after sophomore year," she admitted, "to NYU. Princeton wasn't what I expected." The revelation surprised me. "I hope you found what you were looking for at NYU." "I did. Eventually." She glanced toward where Olivia stood chatting animatedly with faculty members. "Olivia seems to have thrived here." "She found her path," I agreed. Brooke nodded, something like regret crossing her features. "I should have been a better friend to her." "To both of you, really." The simple acknowledgement was unexpected. "We all make mistakes in our youth," I offered, not unkindly. "Some more than others," she said ruefully. "Anyway, I just wanted to say congratulations. To Olivia on her graduation, and to you on your new book. My mother has it on her nightstand." After she departed, Daniel squeezed my hand. "That was generous of you." "Life's too short for holding grudges," I replied, "especially when people show genuine change." The ceremony itself was a blur of speeches, name-calling, and applause. When Olivia crossed the stage to receive her diploma, the pride that swelled in my chest was untainted by calculation or comparison, simply joy in her genuine achievement. Afterward, amid the chaos of graduates and families, she found us with a beaming smile. "Official college graduate," she announced, brandishing her diploma. "Now I just have to decide between the master's programs." Her academic success had translated into multiple graduate school offers, a choice she was approaching with thoughtful consideration rather than status seeking. "You'll make the right decision," I assured her. "You always do nowadays." "High praise from the woman who once called me pathologically manipulative," she teased, the old wound now healed enough for gentle humor. "I never used those exact words," I protested. "Close enough," she laughed. Our celebratory dinner that evening brought together the small circle that had become our unconventional family, Daniel and me, Olivia and her boyfriend, Michael, a thoughtful history student she'd met through the honors program, Tyler and his partner, James, and Susan with her new husband, Paolo. As conversation flowed around the table, I found myself observing rather than participating, struck by the natural authenticity of our interactions. There was no performance here, no calculated impressions or strategic posturing, just genuine connection among people who had chosen to be in each other's lives. Later, as dessert plates were cleared, Olivia clinked her glass for attention. "I have an announcement," she said, her expression both nervous and excited. "I've made my decision about graduate school." All eyes turned to her expectantly. "I've accepted the fellowship at the University of Michigan," she revealed. "Their interdisciplinary program in literature and social justice is exactly what I want to pursue." "That's wonderful news," I said sincerely, even as I calculated the distance, a 4-hour drive that would take her farther from home than she'd been since starting college. "There's more," she continued. "Part of why I chose Michigan is because they've offered Mom a visiting professorship in their creative writing program for the fall semester." Stunned silence met this revelation. "They what?" I finally managed. "I might have sent them your collected essays and mentioned you were working on a new book," Olivia admitted with a mischievous smile. Dr. Abernathy there was impressed and reached out to the department chair. "The official offer should arrive by email tomorrow." "You did this?" I asked, overwhelmed by the thoughtfulness behind the gesture. "It's entirely on your merit," she assured me. "I just made the introduction. The rest was all you." "But what about Daniel? My class is here?" My mind raced through practical considerations. "It's just one semester," Daniel interjected, and I realized from his lack of surprise that he'd been in on the secret. "I've already arranged a sabbatical exchange with their English department for the same period." The careful coordination, the thoughtfulness required to arrange this opportunity without manipulating or pressuring struck me as the clearest evidence of how far Olivia had come. "You did all this for me?" I asked softly. "For us," she corrected. "You once gave me the gift of accountability when it was the last thing I wanted, but the first thing I needed. This is my way of giving you the gift of opportunity, a chance to expand your horizons just when you might be tempted to settle into comfort." The wisdom in her words and the genuine care behind them brought tears to my eyes. "When did you become so insightful?" I wondered aloud. "I had an excellent teacher," she replied simply. Later that night, as Daniel and I prepared for bed, I found myself reflecting on the symmetry of our journey. Where once I had crafted a difficult lesson for Olivia about consequences and independence, she had now created an opportunity for me that demonstrated genuine care rather than calculation. "She's really changed," Daniel observed, reading my thoughts as he often did. "The transformation goes beyond behavior to fundamental character." "Yes," I agreed, though I sometimes wonder how much was transformation and how much was revelation of what was always there beneath the defenses. "Perhaps both," he suggested. "The best growth usually is." I thought of the frightened 3-year-old I'd first met at the adoption agency, wary, withdrawn, already armored against a world that had given her little reason to trust. The calculating teenager she'd become, weaponizing charm and manipulation as survival skills. The reflective young woman who'd gradually learned to replace strategy with authenticity. None of these was the real Olivia. All were genuine facets of a complex person shaped by trauma, choice, consequence, and growth. Just as the anxious, self-sacrificing mother I'd been, the boundary-setting parent I'd become, and the confident professional I was now were all authentic expressions of my own evolving self. "What are you thinking?" Daniel asked as we settled into bed. "That life rarely gives us the stories we expect," I replied. "But sometimes, if we're brave enough to face difficult truths, it gives us the stories we need." He smiled, understanding as he always did. "And this story, has it been worth the painful chapters?" I thought of Olivia's face as she'd announced her news tonight, the genuine desire to create opportunity for me, the thoughtful consideration of what would serve my growth rather than her convenience. How far we'd both come from that devastating party where I'd overheard her cruel dismissal. "Every page," I assured him, "even the hardest ones." In the morning, I would find the official offer from Michigan in my inbox. Daniel and I would begin planning our semester away. Olivia would start preparing for her graduate program. Life would continue its forward motion, bringing new challenges and opportunities. But in this moment, I simply savored the knowledge that sometimes the most painful fractures create space for the most profound healing. That sometimes we must lose the relationships we thought we wanted to discover the authentic connections we truly need, and that it's never too late to begin a new chapter or to rewrite the story of who we might become. Some families are born of blood, others are forged by choice, but those that survive the flames of truth are the ones that truly matter. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and feel free to share your story in the comments. Your voice matters.